Hi, I'm Paul Brodie. We're in my shop here. We have a great project today. Man behind the camera is Mitch. I'm going to be a fabricator, a frame fixer. Remember this? Well, we did a video, it was called My Worst Mistake Ever or something like that, and I used a hydraulic press and I basically blew up this tube and cracked, and there was a lot of comments and they said, oh, just squeeze it together, weld it up. Oh, just cut it off, weld a new tube on, unbraze it. There was so many suggestions, but the overall theme was, I want to see you fix that frame. So I got an email from Wales, Stuart Davies over there, and he sent me this. He had a frame. It came up like that and then it went way up. I think someone modified it to do speedway or grass track or something like that. Anyway, so he said for the price of postage, I'll send you this piece. So you can see here that this one is not enlarged, broken or anything. This is really hard to fix because when they make the frame, they have the castings and they slide it, the tubes through. It's held in a jig. It's pinned. Can you see there's a pin there? And then over here is a pin as well. And what the pin does, it's usually a tapered pin and it's hammered in there and that holds it. And if you look inside, there's one pin and then at a 90, there's the other pin. So if you're going to take it apart, first you have to find out where the pins are and you have to drill them out and then you have to apply a lot of heat. When they make these frames, they have what I call hearth brazing, where there's a big flame, usually in some kind of an oven, and you don't have one person there holding an oxy-acetylene torch waiting for it to get warm. It goes into the oven, it stays in there for, I'm guessing 5 minutes, and then it's pulled out and it's hot. So let's say it's this one here, and then they just hold in a brazing rod usually, and the brazing rod is sucked in. It's capillary action. That's how brazing can work. It pulls the braze into that space of a few thou, something like that, and then it's allowed to cool down. So it's a good way of making a frame. It ends up a bit heavy, but that's how the British used to make their frames. So if I was to take this apart, that would be really, really hard because I'd have to have a torch on each side, and if one part of the lug or the tube isn't up to temperature, like hot, you can't take it apart. And then when it's that hot, if you apply a force, it can bend the metal, it can crack, all sorts of stuff. So that's not a good way of fixing the frame. That would be really hard to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this one off. Going to make an internal lug, and there's going to be another lug here and another lug here, and we're going to put the frame all back together. Here's the other part of it right here. So out of these three pieces, we're going to make a frame, and it should be fairly straight. We're going to use the surface table, and we'll check from the head tube down to the seat tube, make sure that that's in line with each other, and we have to make some lugs. I have these pieces here. This is seamless tubing. It's called DOM, or drawn over mandrel. It's kind of a heavy wall, but that's fine. I'm gonna go to the lathe. We'll machine the outside, probably the inside a bit as well, get it suitable wall thickness. And we need a nice fit, and then it gets TIG welded. I'm doing this because I got the registration. That's the serial number. I got the registration for this frame, so in that sense, it's worth fixing. So, onward. See how it's squashed in? I need to put an angle on that so it goes past, so it goes into there. I'm a little nervous. What if it goes wrong? But let's see what happens here. So I'm lining that angle bit up with this, and it goes in somewhat. That's getting tight. Maybe I need a bigger hammer. It's going to mushroom the end a little bit, but I can file it down. That's a tight fit. So I'm going to measure from here up to the lug, because this is not as critical as the bottom spacing where the motor has to fit in. So that's going to be the cut mark right there. Okay, this is scrap. Okay, there we go, so it fits. So let's put an engine in now and see how this bolt line, I mean, it's the bolt there that we have to make sure fits. Well, that's where it wants to fit, although I cut these at the same length, so that means that the angle is different then. So, see, that's basically what's going to happen here. And I was hoping that would line up. I thought it was going to be out either this way or that way, but it's out, up, and down, so some things in this world you can't explain. And I don't even know if the Tiger Cub's engines were all drilled the same. I would expect they would be, but we'll just leave it. And whoever uses the frame is going to have to do a little bit of filing on the engine mounts or something like that. Okay, I'm good. I've got my red Sharpie line there, so I know how far to go in. It's halfway. There we go. That's a good fit. I'm going to do a little TIG weld there so that when I put the other one on, this doesn't slide down. There's some dirt in there, it spat back at me. All right, that's gonna work. All right. Okay, we just have to make one more insert. That's going to be this one here, and then we can put it together. Now, can you see what's happening here? This tube is not parallel with this tube. So it's going to have to be hammered in. So we need to leave one of these a little bit loose, like this one here is loose a little bit. It's not a perfect system, and well, it's an old Tiger cup, so we're just doing our best here, that's all. That's a good fit. That's all we need. Okay, so you can see how it's out of alignment here because something has to pull. Oh, like that. So this is the moment of truth, whether it all fits together. Wow, I think I'm pretty happy with that, how it went together. It didn't take an excess of force and it didn't just fall on, so that was good. So we're going to head over to the TIG welder now. I'll grab a 049 rod. We'll fill it up. We'll do a little, first we go to the surface table. What I want to do is to look at the alignment in between the head tube and what I call, this is the seat tube here. So let's go over to the surface table. A long time ago, it seems like a long time ago, maybe a year ago, we did a video and I made this. It's called a head tube alignment fixture. So it's getting used right now. If you want to go back and see how this got made, it's still there. So the alignment fixture goes into the head tube. And I'm not sure if it sits where the races go, but it's going to give us an idea anyway, even if it just sits on the casting. It'll give us an idea of if the frame is close or not. So this locks, and then there's a cam. Kind of awkward with this extra weight. This is usually used on a bicycle frame. This is just cold roll, it's just blocks. You have to space it up, and so can you see how those are the same height? That's kind of crucial. And if we have to move it now, it should move nice and easy. So I put that under there. Well, it's hard to know exactly what's going on because I'm holding the inside of the casting here. I'm not on the actual race. So it could be giving me a false reading. Let me just see something. Okay, I've got some other cones. These cones are larger than these ones on the bottom, and I think these will go into the actual part of the head tube which is machined. So let's take this out and do a little redo here. See how that's really narrow? This is larger. Oh, look at that. It fits it into that machine part. So this is better. Pretty handy that I had these. Okay, so now we're on a machined area now. We're not on the inside of the casting. Well, look at that. There's a big space there. Okay, so this side is held now. And then we take out these guys. How's that? It's just touching on the paint. So what we'll do is to weld it up, and then we'll check it again. So that's how we align cub frames in this shop. We're going to go back to the alignment table and see if the TIG welding has caused any movement. Hopefully not. And then I think, I don't know, I think we have to do a little bit of filing on a weld. Just going to show you a little bit. And that's basically it. Edward Turner would be proud, maybe. Okay, so we're down. So yeah, we got, that's what we got. Let's give it a pull. Okay, 25, that's the space. That's millimeters, not inches. Okay, so it needs a little more. That's 15 and a half. Well, actually, that's good because when it goes a little too far and you bring it back, it tends to stay where it is. So, this is what we do. We change the clamp over to this side. Okay, so you see what happens now? Now we put a little pressure on this side. I can feel a little bit of friction there, so we're good. So we have a TIG weld. I'm going to knock off the high spots just in a little bit here. You don't have to watch me file every single one. And we'll just see what it looks like. Oh, low spot. A few months ago, maybe a little longer, I made a belt sander. This is it. So if you need to see how that got made, it's all there. There we go. After the belt sander, that makes it pretty smooth. Then I use 80 grit. And that's what it looks like. If I sand up the whole frame like that, who's ever gonna know that this frame has a history like that? That's our episode. Now you know how to modify, fix a Tiger Cub frame. Mitch and I want to thank you for hanging out in the shop here. Hope you've enjoyed it too. If you buy us coffees, we appreciate that very much. It fuels our channel. If we did okay, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe. See you next time. Take care.